Right, so now Christmas is behind us. How will they be positioning themselves for planning for the coming year? Joining me now is Sarah Peters. She is Senior Retail Analyst at Verdict Research. So a big week for retailers, watching them very closely. We saw what we've had, Debenhams and Morrisons both kicking off the week. Debenhams not so good, Morrisons a little bit better.
Yeah, Morrisons has certainly reported a very respectable set of results. I think it really reflects the work that Morrisons done over the last 18 months, focusing on its value proposition and also communicating to its customers its quality and fresh food credentials, which is really resonating at the moment.
And as Christmas trading updates continue this week, will we see poor sales being blamed on the snow?
I think the snow has certainly had an impact on sales, but it hasn't been a total catastrophe. People couldn't get out and reach the shops as much as they would have liked to have done, and that's really meant sure that people couldn't buy as much as they want. There's been less browsing on the high street, so that will have had an impact, yes.
And the fact that the snow is not expected to have dampened everyone's performance, I mean, what does that tell us? Is perhaps a little too much being made of the bad weather? Are bad sales sometimes down to perhaps underlying structural issues, not just purely about the weather?
I think that's sometimes the case, yes, and I think when you've seen the retailers that have released results already, there have been some that have had some major problems to deal with, as well as the snow. I think the retailers that have performed well and have been a bit stronger have been those that have got very strong online operations, and also expect the supermarkets to perform pretty well as well.
You mentioned the online sales there becoming a growing force in retail, but can growth online continue as the market becomes more and more saturated?
I think we're still going to see some strong growth online. It is going to be slower than what we've seen previously. If you think about there's fewer retailers now coming on board online, and most consumers now have internet access as well. So it's going to be harder to get new users to come online and spend the money, but we're still going to see some very strong growth in that sector.
I guess the key thing really weighing on the minds of many retail businesses at the moment is that VAT sales tax rise. It's going to be a tricky year.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very challenging year for retailers. And I think you have to remember as well, it's not just the VAT rise that is going on. There's also other inflationary pressures as well. So in clothing, we've seen really high raw material costs in the form of cotton prices. And also we know that we're going to see the full force of public sector cuts in the UK, which is most likely going to impact unemployment and have a hit on consumer confidence as well.
Exactly, and we're hearing just there about Linda's report about the challenges when it comes to consumer spending in this part of the world right now on both sides of the Atlantic. Really, tell me about the retail sales picture in Europe. How would you describe it?
Well, I think what we're going to see is it's going to be a very difficult year. We'll see some positive sales come through, but a lot more of that is going to be inflationary driven, and volumes are going to take a bit more of a hit this year than what we've seen in previous years.
Sarah Peters from Verdict Research, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.